weeks, right? The purpose of our call is to help accelerate performance, accelerate clarity, accelerate your progress towards your goal, right? So this is you over here, right? Uh-oh, let's do it this way. This is you over here, right? This is your goal over here. And we want to like fast track, accelerate, right? And this is time, right? And so we want to accelerate the time. And today we're going to really dive deep into what it actually means to accelerate your time. And so before we do that, though, we always start with this simple framework. What I want you to do is I want you to take time today. I go over this every week. If you've seen this, I want you to take 20 minutes today to first evaluate how did things go for you last week. And when you evaluate, let me just make this simple for you. You want to ask yourself 4 questions. What went right? What went wrong? What was missing? And what was confusing about last week? What went right? What went wrong? What was missing? What was confusing about last week? You create a long list. Okay, what went right? Well, man, for me, I had a chance to visit my family. I spoke at a couple events, worked with a couple teams. So that really went well. What went wrong? I got sick, obviously, but that's kind of a one-off. What else went wrong? Let me just think about it. I didn't make as much progress towards working on my PhD as I wanted to. Okay, why didn't I? Right? Well, obviously you got sick. And so that affected some things. Okay. So you're just kind of like taking note of like, how was your week? Right. The reason why we take time to evaluate is because, and you've heard this said before, is that experience is the best teacher. Experience is the best teacher. But in reality, it's not experience that is the best teacher. I said this last week. It's reflecting on experience is the best teacher. So when you take time to reflect on your experiences, that becomes the best teacher. And so what we're doing when we're saying, hey, let me evaluate last week, I'm reflecting. What was missing? What could I have used last week that would have helped me that I didn't have? And then what was confusing? Like, what did I do that I'm not sure why I did it, or it didn't really work well, and maybe there's some question marks around it. And so you're just really trying to take an overall assessment of this last week, right? And we want to carry this pattern from one week to the next so that when we go into this new week starting today, we are at least having the hindsight and the insight on some of the gaps, some of the challenges, some of the issues we may have run into last week so that we do not replicate them this week. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to evaluate. After you evaluate, you all know, if you've been here for some time, then I want you to set your intentions. And when we say set your intentions, this is step 2. Intent. I spelled it. Intentions. Does that look right? Man, whenever I get on a call, I like lose the ability to spell. You want to set your intentions. And so we're saying, okay, what are my intentions for this new week? What do I want to accomplish, right? And these are not goals. Step number 3 is to establish your goals, right? Step number 2 is just what do I want to experience this week? Well, I want to experience peace. I want to experience joy. I want to experience, productivity, like those abstract words are the ones that really help us describe what do we want our intentions. My intention might be to spend more time with my family. My intention might be to exercise more. My intention might be to end the week feeling rejuvenated. That's an intention. I want to come on Friday. I don't want to be burnt out. On Friday, I want to be rejuvenated. So then once you set your intentions, then you say, okay, now I need to establish my goals. And these are SMART goals, right? SMART goals are specific. They are measurable. They are actionable. They are realistic. I know you can't understand my handwriting. They are time bound. So I want to establish SMART goals, right? So now that I know my intentions to spend more time with my family, what specific goal am I going to set that will help me accomplish that intention? So the goal might be, I'm going to have dinner dates with my wife once a week. Once this week. I'm going to have a family dinner 4 times this week, right? So now I've taken that intention and I've broken it down into a goal. If my intention is to end the week feeling rejuvenated, okay, what is my goal? What do I need to do to end the week feeling rejuvenated? Well, I need to make sure I'm not working more than maybe 40 hours a week. I need to make sure that I'm taking time throughout the week for rest and relaxation. Maybe I need to plan a massage come Friday afternoon, right? So when Friday comes, I get off of work, I immediately go and I get a massage to just kind of help me relax and release. That's a goal, right? It's specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, time bound. After you have done this, and you all know I'm preaching to the choir because we go over this every week. Where's my erase? Right? After you set your goals, then you have your roadmap. Your roadmap, and this is, well, I don't know why I put a slash there. Your roadmap or your plan. So this is specifically how am I going to go after that goal. So if I'm going to have 4 dinners with my family tonight, then what's the plan? Well, we're going to eat Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What are we going to eat? Well, I'm going to make these meals, or we're going to order in this from a restaurant, or we're going to do it at this time. So your roadmap is very specific. Your roadmap is very specific to what you are trying to accomplish, right? So that is the how you're going to actually go after the goal. And then the last step you need is to execute. And the execute isn't something you do today, right? Everything that we just talked about, let me just highlight this real quick. Let me just highlight this in a different color, right? Everything we just talked about, all of this you do today. You evaluate last week, you do it today. You set your intentions, your goals, your roadmap. You do all of this today. When it comes to executing, this is what you all actually have to do during the week. So if your goal is to get up tomorrow and go work out, well, then tomorrow you got to get up and go work out, right? That's the execution. And in order for you to execute, you have to ask yourself, what support do I need? What support do I need? And what accountability do I need? Support and accountability. Most of us can do step 1 through 4 very easily. Most of us fail on step 5. And we fail on step 5 because we do not have the support and the accountability. Maybe we tell our friends what our goals are. Maybe we write them down in our journal, but we don't actually have that person who is checking in with us, holding us accountable, keeping our feet to the fire, making us do the thing that we said we were going to do. And so it's not enough just to go through 1 through 4. And I'll tell you, if you do 1 through 4, I don't know if that's how you spell it, dopamine. Step 1 through 4 will give you a dopamine hit. You will feel like, oh, wait, okay, now I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm ready to go. I got my step 1 through 4. Like, let's go, right? But step 1 through 4 won't actually help you accomplish the thing. You have to do step 5. And step 5 is where the hard work starts, right? That's where the rubber meets road. And many of you all, I think about you, Jennifer, right? Many of you all have on some level, you've been executing with your entrepreneurship, with your business, with your school. You've been executing, right? And so it's not that you don't know how to, right? Like if it's important enough to you, you will take action on it. But I want just to make sure and remind you that if you have a goal that you set for yourself for this week, what support and what accountability do you need in order to accomplish that goal, right? And have an honest conversation with yourself. Take some time and evaluate and say, hey, what goals did I set last week that I did not execute on? Why didn't I execute on them, right? Was it because I lacked support or because I lacked accountability? Was it because I lacked resources? Like, what is it that I needed to have in place in order to have accomplished those goals from last week that I didn't accomplish? Right. So this is our accelerate clarity framework. It really should be called like accelerate execution framework that we go over every single week during our Sunday calls. And I just want to stop before we dive into today's lesson. Questions, thoughts? Did you do this last week? How's it working? Any clarifying question that you might have for me before we go on? Feel free to unmute, or if you got a question in the chat, you can drop it. Nev, appreciate you, brother. Yeah, for some reason, when I get up here, it's like, wait, how do you spell? Sam, working and completing my practice with him, simultaneously feeling so exhausted all the time. Yeah, so, okay, now we got to ask ourselves, what are we going to do, right? How do we address that? Any questions? Feel free to unmute. Questions, comments, reflections. We got it? Silence is consent.
I guess for me, it comes back to what you just read on my comment on the inbox, where I am working and studying at the same time. In addition to that, I have my own side things that I've started. I started 2 additional certification, and man, I'm failing to execute one of them because of the overload. I'm starting to feel burnout already. So trying to find that balance of saying, hey, which one is priority, yet I'm so passionate on both of them.
So so you're wrestling with the priority question.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean that's great. I mean that's a great. I mean I can understand the dilemma that you're in. I think all of us on some level have been there before. I think you just have to make a decision, right? There's sometimes we have the tendency to overthink things, and sometimes we feel like every decision has to be the right decision, right? Every decision does not have to be the right decision. If you feel that every decision you make has to be the right decision, that is an indication that you are possibly stuck, right? That you are possibly, I would just say that you're possibly stuck. Every decision doesn't have to be the right decision. You just have to decide, and you just have to iterate, and you just have to learn, right? And so, yes, you have 2 passions. Make a decision, say, hey, for the next 30 days, for the next 60 days, I'm going after this one. I'm going to put 80% of my energy in this one, see how it goes, and then reevaluate. If it goes well, great. If it doesn't, then we're going to shift, and I'll put 30 days 30-day focus on this other one, right? So don't feel as though every decision has to be the right decision. This evaluating, like literally what you're doing from week to week is you are just testing things. You are just trying things. You're just trying to figure things out. And so really have the approach of like research and development. Like, let me just try this. Let me give myself 30 days towards this goal and see if I can make good progress and see how it feels. And if it feels great, then I'll continue to pursue it. If it doesn't feel great, then I'll reevaluate. And you can ask yourself the question, if at the end of the quarter or at the end of the year, if I could only accomplish one thing, what would that one thing be? Like really kind of force yourself into constraint to figure out, hey, what is it that I really, really want? And then the other thing, Sam, I would just say, and this might apply to many of us, is it possible to do both, right? Maybe there are some other things that you're engaged in that are not higher level, higher order goals, but they're taking up time that if you eliminate those, you would have more time for your higher order goals. And so it's really about identifying what is it that I really want to accomplish and then eliminating everything else. And anything that falls below of the goal that you're trying to accomplish, you have to eliminate. And that elimination is difficult, right? But that is the essence of strategy and goal setting. It's not determining what you're going to do, it's determining what you're not going to do. So when you start to say, hey, I'm going to go after this goal, right? I'm going to go after this goal up here, and this is where the goal is, and that means anything that falls, below the goal, I'm eliminating. And I'm putting my focus purely on that goal. and I'm not going to be engaging in these things here. Right? And so it's the power of constraint. It also looks like, and you may have been with me when we went over this a long time ago. It looks like this, the power of constraint. Here are all the things that I could do. The power of constraint says, what is the one thing I must do? Right. So great question. And all of these, I said, man, I'm passionate about all of these things. Okay. We all have multiple passions, right? But what's the one thing that you must do? 6 months from now, 12 months from now, if you don't get this thing done, it's going to really weigh on you. Or you really feel like this is core to who I am. It's core to who I am as an individual. Or you can just say, hey, I'm going to give myself 30 days, 60 days, 90 days to really focus on this one thing. And let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Great question. So today, and you have any other questions, feel free just to raise your hand, jump in the chat, or just unmute. Eugene, good to see you in the chat. Glad that you joined. So today, I want to share with you a principle that you may be familiar with. Most of you all, and the reason why we're here is because there is something that we're trying to accomplish in our lives, right? We have a, and I like to say vision. Hopefully, if you've been rocking with me, you have a vision 2030, right? Which is your long range vision for your personal, your professional goals, what you want to accomplish. We've broken that vision 2030 down into, I'll put it here, vision 2025. This is where we are. So we're in February. We're in February of 2025. And we've broken that vision down. And we're saying to ourselves, okay, I'm making progress towards vision 2025, that thing I want to accomplish, so that ultimately I'll be able to reach my goal. I want to introduce you to this principle called Parkinson's law. It's a law that was established in the 1950s by a gentleman by the name of Northcott Parkinson. And basically what he suggested based off his research is that the work that you are engaged in will expand to fill the time available for its completion. Let me write that down. The work you do will expand to fill the time of its completion. That's really messy, but you understand what I'm saying. What he essentially established is, if you give yourself, we got 11 months left, right? 10 months left. If you give yourself 10 months to accomplish a goal, it will take 10 months to accomplish that goal. But if you give yourself 5 months to accomplish the same goal, it will take you 5 months to accomplish that goal. If you give yourself 3 months to accomplish that goal, it will take you 3 months. If you give yourself 1 month to accomplish that goal, it will take you 1 month. What he essentially is establishing is this idea that how long it takes us to accomplish the things that we set in our mind to accomplish will largely be determined by how much time we've given ourselves. And so if we push goals off for 10, 12 months, or if you say, hey, I got a 5-year goal. If you give yourself 5 years, it will take you 5 years to accomplish that goal. And so to me, this is fascinating, because inevitably what this does is, once we give ourselves this long runway to accomplish a goal, recognizing that the underlying reality or truth is that it really won't take us this long to accomplish a goal, but we're just giving ourselves this amount of time to accomplish a goal. What that automatically does is it introduces procrastination and perfectionism into the equation. And so I will say I need 5 years to accomplish this goal. But what I have naturally done is I've naturally baked in perfectionism and or procrastination into that goal. Perfectionism simply says that I cannot go forward until the project or until my work is perfect. Procrastination simply is you saying I'm going to avoid starting until the elements or until the environment is perfect. Like, I'll do this later when I feel motivated. Versus perfectionism says I cannot submit this until it's absolutely perfect. Perfectionism leads to overworking. Procrastination leads to rushing. And so what Parkinson's law suggests is that if you set for yourself a 2025 goal, and in January you set that goal, what I would want you to think about is, what are the elements that would need to be true in order for you to accomplish that goal by March? Take your 2025 goal and shrink it down into a 3-month goal. Then take your 5-year Vision 2025 Vision 2030 goal, and let's shrink this Vision 2030 goal into, this is you, let's shrink it into a 1-year goal. Can you accomplish in 1 year what you believe it would have taken you 5 years to accomplish? And can you accomplish in 3 months what you believed it would have taken you 1 year to accomplish? And Parkinson's law basically says, yes. Yes, you can. And the reason why yes, you can is because most of us are living our lives with so much procrastination and perfectionism. And I would add another word in here, with so much distraction, that we are putting off the very task that we know we can accomplish sooner if we would just take action. I've seen this in my own life. It has taken me 3 years to finish a paper that should have taken me 3 months to accomplish. And the reason it's taken me 3 years to accomplish it is because of perfectionism, because of procrastination. And on some level, if you're like me, and I'm sure you are, because we are all humans, we all have this human condition, there is this idea of my own belief in my ability to accomplish it. And so because we don't really fully believe we can accomplish something, but yet we still want the satisfaction to at least tell ourselves we can accomplish it, we make it a 5-year goal, knowing full well, most likely that 5-year goal will change. But we have the immediate dopamine hit of being able to say, oh, I have a 5-year goal, or I have a 1-year goal. So Parkinson's law is really about understanding the nature of time, and that whatever goal you set for yourself, it will take you the amount of time you allot for that goal. And so what I want to encourage you to do today is I want you to think about your 2030 goals. I pray, if you've been rocking with me for any amount of time, that you have written down Vision 2030, because we talk about it all the time. What are your 2030 goals? And yes, we don't know the future, right? Yes, I'm not suggesting that, we live in the future. I think we need to live in the present, but I think you need to have a plan. Like, where do you feel God is calling you to in over the next 5 years? What are those things on your hearts that you want to be able to accomplish? And what I want you to really think about is what would need to be, let me say it like this. What needs to be true to accomplish my 5-year goal in 1 year? And what needs to be true to accomplish my 1-year goal in 3 months? We've seen this in the many, many times where you might say, hey, I got a paper that I need to do, or I need to clean my house, or I need to do this project, or I need to finish this assignment, or I'm working on this thing. And you give yourself 6 months to do it. You give yourself 6 weeks to do it. You give yourself 6 days to do it. What I want you to do is to begin the process of shrinking time, shrinking the time horizon, so that rather than it taking you 12 months, you shrink the time horizon so that now it will only take you 3 months. And the way that we do that, according to Parkinson's law, is number one, there's a couple ways that we do that. One is we have to set artificial deadlines. You gave yourself an arbitrary deadline of 2025, December 2025. It's arbitrary. No one said you needed to lose 30 pounds by December of 2025, but you, right? No one said that you needed to get a new job by December of 2025. No one said that you needed to launch your business by December of 2025. That was an arbitrary, artificial deadline that you gave yourself. And what I want to say is set for yourself a new artificial, more aggressive deadline. Rather than trying to lose 30 pounds by December, I'm going to lose 30 pounds by March, right? Or February, March, April, May. By May, to give yourself 3 months. End of April, May 1st. Rather than you trying to get a new job and launch your business by December, I'm going to launch my business by May 1st. So number one, set artificial deadlines. Number two, the way that we shrink the time horizon to ensure that we're not just playing mind games with ourselves is that we have to, and this is what we just talked about, Sam, right? We have to prioritize high impact work. Many of you are familiar with the Pareto principle, which says 20% of your work accomplishes 80%, or 20% of your efforts accomplish 80% of the work. It's the 80-20 principle, or the 80-20 rule, right? And so focus on the 20% of tasks, right, that drive 80% of the work, right? So that's the 20-80 rule, or it's called the 80-20 rule, where 20% of your efforts will accomplish 80% of the work. And when we talk about prioritizing high impact work, what I want you to do is to really think about what are those big levers? What are those big drivers of this goal? And can you put 80% of your energy into those big drivers? So rather than focusing on this 20-80 rule, which says focus on the 20% of tasks that drive 80% of results, right? I want you to say, okay, what are the big drivers? Like, what has to be true? If this is my goal, Like if this is my goal up here and I want to shrink the time horizon, what has to be true in order for me to reach that? And then whatever has to be true, I want to put the majority of my time into doing those one or two things. Number 3 is you have to create a sense of urgency. Create sense of urgency. And we do this by time blocking, by working in shorter bursts, challenging yourself to finish tasks faster, right? This is essentially that principle where we say done is better than perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. We just have to be done. Done is better than perfect. Nev says, how do we create goals with high impact work that doesn't make us burn out or feel like we are being unrealistic? Great question. How do we create goals? Can you give me an example of that? Are you in a position where you can come off mute and give me an example of that?
I'm driving right now, but I mean, you gave the situation with the exercise, and I understood that example. But like for instance, you helped me last year to get to the goals of shrinking down my time for doing my real estate. So
Mm-hmm.
while I'm doing the real estate stuff, and there's certain goals and expectations that I have of like maybe doing 100,000 part time, I still have my full time job. So I'm just trying to say, how do I like continue with what I'm passionate about on the side while, I know I have high impact work that needs to be done,
Mm-hmm.
but I also have a prior commitment that I know is my bread and butter. That's like my
Sure.
guarantee.
Sure. So you are what many people are, right? You're a full-time employee, but you also have, a passion, entrepreneurial ideas, things that you want to pursue. And you're like, okay, how do I crush my goals? How do I maintain, a standard of excellence with my full-time job, but
Correct.
then also make progress on my part-time job
Okay.
without feeling burnt out,
Correct.
right? And so that is a phenomenal question. Let me just say that. And I think that is a question that everyone wrestles with on some level. And I'm going to give you what I perceive is my perspective on it. Some may differ, but my perspective on it is this. And that is simply that this X right here represents your full-time job. This X right here represents your entrepreneurship. This X right here represents your family, right? This X right here represents your physical health, emotional health, right? Um, this X right here represents. In fact, let me just draw it out. So we said this is your full time, right? This is your entrepreneurial job. This is your, what was the other one I said? I say your family, right? This is your fitness, right? Um, this is your let's call this next one, um what do they call it when you're like doing things that are, oh, what's the word? It's like discretionary. Let's call it discretionary time, right? And then you have like these others, right? And what I have experienced is the reason why we get burnt out is because we have not learned how to prioritize our time. And so, what I would want you to do is I would want you to draw a hard line, and I want you to say, okay, let me do a time audit. How much of my actual day, like a literal time audit, where you are looking at your time every 15 minutes, you're logging your time. How am I spending my time? How much of my time is going to my full-time job? How much of my time is going to my entrepreneurship? How much of my time is going to my family? How much of my time is going to my fitness, right? And you can say fitness, and you can also put like faith or spirituality, right? And this fitness can be like spiritual, emotional fitness. How much of my time is going to watching ESPN? How much of my time is going to scrolling on social media? How much of my time is going to like like shopping on Amazon? Like, I don't know. Like, actually do an audit of your time. And what I have realized, and what I'm sure you will realize, is that we spend a lot of our time over here in this is what we call the non-productive time, right? The low impact quadrant. This is the low impact quadrant. As opposed to, this is over here, the high impact quadrant. And the reason why we feel burnt out is because we spend so much of our time in the low impact quadrant that when it's time for us to then switch gears and go into the high impact quadrant, we feel like we don't have any more energy, right? Burnout is is a function of energy. How much energy do you have to actually do the work that you feel you need to do? And so what I've had to realize is like, wow, if I have multiple goals, like full-time job, entrepreneurship endeavor I'm trying to do, right? I also want to be healthy, right? I want to be spiritually healthy, physically healthy. I want to eat well. I want to exercise, right? I also want to have family time. If this is what's really important to me, right, then I honestly don't have a lot of time for this low impact activity. This low impact activity is really a unhealthy way to relieve stress, but it's not actually relieving stress. It's just like us vegging out. It's us just clocking out. It's just us like zoning out. And so really be honest with yourself and say, okay, I could give 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week, 40, 50 hours a week to my full-time job, right? 6 days. I could do, 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, right? I could do that. And on top of that, I could probably give 2 hours a day to my entrepreneurship, right? Maybe I could get up early. Maybe I could stay up an hour late. I could give myself 2 hours a day. I could set aside time for date nights and family time. I can also work in, 30-minute cardio or 45-minute exercise, 30-minute worship in the morning and the evening, having worship with my family, with my spouse. It's possible for you if you say to yourself, this is the most important thing. It's possible for you to experience, to lean into this and not get burnt out. The burnout comes when you're trying to juggle these things here, but then you're also expending time on low impact activity. And you might say to yourself, well, when do I have time for myself? When do I have time to relax? Right? Well, then we have to redefine what is time for yourself. What does time for relaxation look like? Right? Is it possible for me to relax and to connect that relaxation to family time? Is it time for me to relax and connect that relaxation to my fitness time? But we almost gorge ourselves on low impact time, feeling as though, oh, I just worked 8 hours at my job, so now I deserve this bucket of ice cream. I deserve to spend 2 hours doom scrolling. I deserve to have revenge procrastination. Have you heard of that term before? Revenge procrastination, right? Revenge procrastination is when you should go to sleep, right? It's 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock. You should go to sleep, but you are procrastinating on going to sleep because you feel like you owe it to yourself to be able to stay up because of how hard you worked that day. And so revenge procrastination is, no, I'm going to stay up and I'm going to watch this show till midnight, or I'm going to scroll on my phone till midnight. And subconsciously, you're not knowing what you're doing, but you're eventually procrastinating on going to sleep, which is the thing you need to be doing so that you can get up at 5 o'clock that next morning to have your time with God, to go work out. But instead, you stay up till midnight procrastinating going to sleep because you're trying to take revenge on how much energy you spent that day, and you feel like I owe it to myself. Some of us, we won't eat a gallon of ice cream after a hard day. Some of us will stay up till midnight watching Netflix after a hard day, as opposed to saying, no, I had a hard day, man, I got a lot accomplished, it was rewarding, right? I worked hard. Maybe I had some frustrations, as every day has frustrations embedded in it, right? That's a part of life. Let me take my hips to bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock so I can get up at 5 o'clock and crush the day. And the reason why many of us spend time in this low impact zone is because we have not truly clarified our goal. We have pushed our goal so far off, that we're in full-blown procrastination or perfectionism mode, which is leading us to experience a ton of low-impact distractions. As opposed to saying, I know what my goal is. I got 3 months to execute on this goal. I don't have time to stay up till midnight. I don't have time to eat unhealthy. I don't have time to get sick. I have to keep my body in peak physical condition. I have to eat healthy. I have to get some sleep. I have to get 8 hours. Why? Because tomorrow morning, I need to make progress on my goal. And our goal is so clear, right? It's almost like if tomorrow, all of your family is coming over your house for a family reunion, you would start today cleaning up, right? You would not be procrastinating. You would start today. Okay, let me clean up, let me dust, let me take out the trash, let me organize the pillows. Like, you would start because they're coming over tomorrow. Well, if you knew, hey, my goal has to be done by tomorrow, or it has to be done by next month. And this is a goal that I normally would have been a 2025 goal, but I've shrunken the time horizon. So now it's a 3-month goal. I don't have any time to spend in this low impact zone. I just don't. Don't got no time for it. And so you find yourself deprioritizing things that are not actually helping you move towards your goal. To the point, hear me now, to the point where you might say, man, one of the things I have to do, Seth, is like, I got to clean my house. Like, man, cleaning my house, doing the dishes, vacuuming, dusting, like keeping my house clean is one of those things where, every week it takes time. I would argue, can you pay someone to clean your house? Pay someone to clean your house, which is literally low impact time, so that you can give your time to high impact energy, high impact goals. Well, I have to, go grocery shopping, right? Pay someone to go grocery shopping for you, right? They have Instacart. They have all these tools, right? You don't have to go spend 2 hours walking around Costco, right? You just don't. Pay someone to go do it for you. Because look at your time, right? If it costs me, let's say $50 extra or $20 extra to pay someone to go grocery shopping for me, that's $20 that saved me an hour of time. That hour of time I could use towards moving my business forward. And if it's real estate, how much value, what is the dollar amount connected with that hour? And so it's really about you doing a time audit. Long answer to a great question. Doing a time audit and really evaluating, okay, how am I using my time? And if I am experiencing burnout, like, what exactly is the burnout coming from? Do I need better barriers and guardrails around my time? Maybe I need, rather than this low impact time, maybe I say, hey, once a week, I'm going to a massage. Once a week, I'm going to a spa. Like, that would be more productive time because it actually is rejuvenating and it's not you vegging out. Once a week, in order for me to kind of maintain that balance, I'm just going to go, get my hair done or do something where I can just relax and exhale And everyone has their thing, which is a little bit different for them. But you know, I'm doing this because it is filling my cup, as opposed to you think doom scrolling and you think like ESPN or whatever that your show is that you watch, you think that's filling your cup, but it's really not. It's the illusion of impact. It's the illusion of rest and rejuvenation. So great question. Great question. Um, yeah, it really comes down to if this is your goal and this is you, you all know this is my favorite stick person illustration, right? This is your goal, this is you, and this is what you're going towards. Anything that falls below your goal, you eliminate. So, does my goal help me? I mean, does this activity that I'm engaged in, does it help me accomplish my goal? And it may not be the big goal, but is this helping me maintain spiritual energy, physical energy, financial energy? Like, is this activity helping me maintain my higher self so that I have more time and energy to focus on the thing that is most important? If it is, great. If it's not, then I need to reevaluate it. Miss Sheila.
Yeah, I wanted to say something because I really feel I'm so glad that that question was asked because I just took a moment and started thinking about what are truly my goals, you know?
Mm.
Because a lot of times you go through life doing the activities of what's necessary, you know, and sometimes it's at the whim of need or the whim of not the whim of need, but the dictate of need and then the whim of desire, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And so I just took a moment to think about, okay, Sheila, just what are your goals? You
Yep.
know, at this point in my life at 65, just, you know, from this discussion. And I thought about, okay, first of all, I know it, you know, at work, I want to be effective and productive. You know, another high priority is spending time with God, via the spiritual disciplines, sharing the word of God with others, and then my fitness goals, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm thinking like outside of that, as I'm approaching retirement, what do I really want to do?
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a goal, because when I take that work piece out, you know, I have to live in purpose.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I just thank you for this dialogue that helped me to kind of pivot into seriously considering my goals.
Yeah.
And I love the way we talked about because I thought about my time I spend scrolling, and then I looked at the goals that I put. I was like, none of that doesn't help in any of those goals, you
Yep.
know.
Yep.
So that was a really good point that you know, just a sobering also points that you made. So
Yeah.
thank you.
No, thank you for chiming in. Um, that is the question. What do I want? Like that is the question. Like, what do I really want? Like, what is the goal? What is the thing God has put in my heart? What is it that I'm really going after? And I don't want to make like I don't want to shame anyone into feel like, oh, if you scroll, you're not focused. Like, I think whatever you do, you need to do intentionally, right? And so if scrolling is how you stay connected with your family, friends, or laughter, enjoyment, just say, okay, scroll, right? But at least do it intentionally. I think a lot of us we scroll mindlessly. We
Yes.
scroll as an escape, right?
Yeah.
But you can say, hey, I'm gonna set a 15-minute timer on my Instagram or my social media. You can do that on your phone. And once you hit that timer, it's done for the day.
Unless you say ignore time limit for
Right.
social
There
media.
you go.
Because I have that on my phone and I say 30 minutes for Instagram and 30 minutes for Facebook, right? So those two. And when it's up, there are days I'm like, okay, Sheila, your time is up. And then there are other days where I'm like, okay, 15 more minutes. Then you know, sometimes it's 1 more minute.
Yeah,
And then
yeah, yeah.
just ignore the limit for the day.
Just ignore
So, so to me, it's like what you said today will help me say, okay, Sheila, in this decision to ignore the limit for the day, how is that keeping you in alignment
Yeah,
with the goals and what you want your life to look like?
yeah, yeah. 100%. Just raise your hand if you've ever hit ignore the limits for the day. Let me raise both of my hands. Like we've all been there. We've all been there. We have good intentions, but we don't always execute. And so it's that level of awareness. It's like, okay, now I have a level of awareness where I can say, okay, let me be intentional. Yeah, fine. Scroll 15 minutes, right? If you want to watch a show that came on and you're interested in it, great. Watch the show, right? But do I got to watch the whole series in one night? Like like is there a way that I can put parameters around the time that I'm going to engage in low impact work, right? And so just really understanding that and then working with it. So we covered a lot. Thank you, Sheila, for your feedback and for your perspective. Corinna says, watch your soul while you work out so the time can still yield high impact. There you go. You could also do that, right? Any other questions, comments, thoughts, right? So the homework, what I want you to take away from today is I want you to think about, sincerely, I want you to think about, okay, what is my vision 2030? What is my vision 2025? And what would need to be true in order for me to shrink the time horizon? And if 2030 is too far off for you, okay, what do I want to accomplish by December of 2025? And what would need to be true in order for me to accomplish it by March? Well, January, February, March, April. May 1st of 2025. 3 months. What would need to be true for me to accomplish it by May of 2025? So if I set an artificial deadline, because even your December 2025 is an artificial deadline, if I set an artificial deadline of 3 months, I prioritize my high impact work, right? I create a sense of urgency, right? I'm time blocking, right? I'm managing my calendar. I'm managing my schedule. Is it possible for me to actually get done? And this is the secret that I'm gonna leave you with. That even if you don't reach your goal by by May of 2025, you would be further along if you would not have shrunk the time horizon. So you might say, hey, I want to launch my business and have, 5 clients by May of 2025. Well, you might not reach that goal. You might say, man, I launched my business. I only have 3 clients by May of 2025. I promise you, wherever you are, May of 2025 will be further than if you would have kept the deadline at December. And that's the thing. You're shrinking the time horizon. It's forcing you to experience, like, rather than you going after your goal like this, you're going after your goal like this is December, right? This is December 2025. This is May, 3 months, 2025. Rather than you going after your goal like this, you're going after your goal like that, right? So it's like there's rapid transformation or rapid productivity, because now you've eliminated all the things that are low impact work, and you're focusing exclusively on the 4 or 5 elements that are going to move you towards this goal right here. And wherever this is, it will be better than if you would have kept the goal at December of 2025. So that's the homework I want to leave with you. Any last questions or comments? Be intentional even about relaxing time scrolling? Yes. Great. Thank you, Randall. Any other questions, comments, thoughts?
Can you put the homework assignment in text in the chat so I can copy and paste it?
Yeah, sure. I'll actually text it out. I'll text it out to everyone.
Thanks.
I can text it out to everyone. All right. Well, listen, this is what we covered today. I hope it was a value add. We will, let me check my calendar. I want to make sure. I don't want to lie to you. So we will not be here next week. I will be on a flight next Sunday morning. So we won't be here next week. But we will be here the following week. I'll also send a reminder out that Sunday morning that we won't be here. I always like to add this link that if you want to schedule just a one-on-one coaching call with me, you're more than welcome to do that, a discovery call. If you feel like, hey, I need more accountability, I need more support in order for you to accomplish your goals, which is this slide right here. If you need more accountability and more support, I would love to jump on a one-on-one coaching call with you and see how I can support you more personally for you to reach your goal. Nev, I see you turn on your camera. Man, you got a word for us? You're muted? Okay. Okay.
I couldn't hear what you were saying, but I think it had gone back to my car, so I was just trying to
Oh,
see if it was just me. But
we got you.
all right, thank you
We
so
got you.
much.
We
I
got you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, listen, I love you all. Have a wonderful week. I will send out the homework in the text message. And I'll also drop this will be on YouTube. I'll share this link with you all later this day. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.